Morning traders, it's Matt here from the Forex Coach. It's currently Tuesday the 20th of February and we are recording live trading now, and I've just entered the first trade of the day this morning, 8:30 on cable, so pound to US dollar, and we are playing this to the long side. We've had this run down this morning, it's come down into some support, and we're playing a bounce up to some previous highs. So if we have a look on the chart, and I'll just zoom out here, we can see that we've got these highs over here, and I'm just looking to exit the trade before we get to this high over here. But first part of the trade is coming off over here, because again we've got some resistance from previous levels across here that we're looking at taking half of the trade off here with this first target price, and then a push up high to take the second part of this trade off. Momentum is to the downside, as you can see with this but longer term we've had some positive momentum. So out on the weekly charts you can see that we've obviously had this strong move up with regards to the pound. Now if we just look at this chart, what is interesting is that we still have not touched this 200 period moving average on this weekly chart. Now that also ties in with some levels on the euro dollar that we still haven't touched, so it's still in the back of my mind that we could still get some further dollar weakness here, get some final pushes up of these before they start to roll over. Let's just change the moving average to exponential just to see whether it's touched yet. It's gone well through that there, but on a simple moving average that's yet to have touched on the monthly, on the weekly. So that still suggests that there is potential, some room for some further dollar weakness and some moves higher still with regards to pound that will affect the euro as well, etc. And you know, I know a lot of people are in short already. You know, if you have a look at the market sentiment on some of these on some brokers such as IG, etc., they show you like something like 60-70% of traders are short, but that's not necessarily what the market's going to do. Often the market will do the opposite and be looking to take out stops and all that sort of stuff. So we will sit and wait and see what plays out here, and see if we can push up at some point over the next couple of hours up to target. Price action looks fairly good on this cable trade. We've got some strong bars coming in and some strong volumes. What is interesting is this big sell-off bar here was a volume spike, which you can see on this sort of middle indicator here. So you know, they're quite nice to see, because potentially what that was doing was having a flush down to take stops out, etc. And now it's looking to once it's taken those stops out, to then push up to the upside, and hopefully we see some follow through of this move. So we have got some resistance because we've got all of these downwards facing moving averages. Looks like we've probably got a trend line across here as well, which I can now just draw something like that. I mean, they're quite subjective as to where you draw them, but I would say something like that. There's a trend line there, so that might provide some resistance as well. And what I'll be looking for is some sort of reaction off this trend line, maybe a pullback, and then it's push up and break through that. Okay, we've just had a strong blip up, so we're just coming up close, fairly close now to on that candle anyway, to the first target price, but it's now coming back off with it, which is expected. But we have broken this trend line now, but we've not closed above the trend line, so we've just pushed through it. So be interesting to see how it plays out now, because as I say, depending on the strength of this trend line, it could pull back significantly now. Hi guys, just back, and this cable trade has really come off here. So I'm just thinking whether I should cut the trade, because I don't like the price action. Price action here is looking like it could just pull back. So I'm tempted, what I might do is just take half the trade off because it has just had a blip back up. So I'm just going to close half the trade now and just hold out for target price 2 here. So on the 15-minute chart, you know, we have come around and we've got this curving up this price envelope and stuff. So it could have just been coming back down to retest that. But then that being said, we have got this downward trend and you know, some strong moving averages here facing down, which suggests that we could get further pull down before divergence for then the bounce up. So there's a lot of conflict here. If it had have pushed up and held up, then I would have liked to have sort of held on to this trade, but just for the nature of this last sort of 30 minutes worth of candles, makes me concerned that this trade could just fail here. So what I've done is I've mitigated risks. I've banked half profits here, and what I could now do is look to trail the stop up on this second half to maybe just below this low, which would pretty much mean it would be almost a break-even trade if it does then roll over and stop me out. So that's what I'll potentially look to do over the course of the next sort of 5-10 minutes. Okay, just back. We've seen a big push up with this cable trade. So this was kind of a fake pullback, and it has come through. So it's smashed through what would have been TP1. I've just reduced this trade size slightly, so I've taken a bit of profit off up here. But I'm going to just hold out for TP2 if we can get up there for this second part. And what I've also done is just trail the stop loss up now on this trade. Okay, I'm just going to close this trade out here and bank profits. I'm happy with the move that it's just had there because it's moved so fast. It could have a big pullback here, and we're just below the target price anyway on that trade. Okay, just back, and it was a fairly good exit on the pound up here. I mean, that last candle just pushed up, but just due to the price action, I could see there was potential for this to pull back, and that is exactly what it's done. So the plan with this is potentially get a re-entry to the long side, and it might come back down for a retest of this this trend line here potentially, but you know, it would be potential zone there to get a retest, a re-entry back into the long side. Okay, just back. I've been out for a bit, and we can see this came down for a perfect retest of this trend line, but unfortunately I was out and I couldn't take that entry. It did push up. Since then it's pulled back, but I think this has got the potential now to just push on. However, I have chose not to take on the cable here because I can also see in some of the other charts such as euro, pound, etc. the potential for the strength going to the euro now as opposed to the pound. So I've looked for a trade setup anyway. I've ended up with a trade now dollar yen. So you can see the trade here. We've had this this move up. We've had some divergence type behaviour similar to the pound earlier. We've had this strong volume candle come in here. Potentially taking out stops, etc. So we're just playing it to the short side. It's a fairly short-term trade. We've got target price 1 just under these lows, or on these lows here from earlier on, and then target price 2 will come in one of these sort of moving averages as they sort of scoop up. Okay, we're just sitting in this dollar yen short term. We had this initial sort of sell off, and then it's just holding flat at the moment. So we're just waiting for this now to have a further push down. Support wise, we've got various levels here, but because you know this is an upwards trend, so it is going to struggle to break through some of these levels down here. But we'll see how it plays out. Okay, I'm just taking off half of this position because I'm not happy with the price action here. So It could push higher still, so I'm going to keep the second half on for TP2, and I'm going to just trail the stop down as well to this high. Okay, just back, and it's now come just 5:15. It's pretty much going sideways here, the dollar yen. So I'm going to stick with the second half. I've moved the stop down, so it's a risk-free trade pretty much now anyway. So I hope you've had a good day trading. We've had a winner there this morning on cable long, and an open position as we stand at the moment.